Oh, welcome everyone. The presentation is about to begin. This session will be recorded and will last 60 minutes. Please keep your mic muted during the presentation and turn off your web cameras. If you have a question or comment, enter it in the chat during the presentation and the presenter will address your question at the end. There will also be some discussion though as well. If you are on your phone, you will be given an opportunity during the Q&A time to voice your questions and comments. All participants in today's events will have access to the recorded version, which will be available within 1 to 2 weeks after the live event. TESOL International Association's Higher Education Intersection is pleased to present credit for ESOL courses in U.S. higher education. We're very pleased to welcome all of you to this webinar. My name is Deanie, and I'll be your moderator with the help of Nancy Flores for today's event. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Kelly McClendon and Tracey McGee.
Hi, everyone. All right, so if we could maybe go ahead and go to our next slide, I'll dive right in to what we're doing today. So welcome. I know it's the last day of May, it's the start of summer. Everyone's probably absolutely exhausted. And so we appreciate you joining us today. So just a little bit about what we'll be going through. We see this as just being sort of informal, discussion based. So we're going to share a little bit of background with you. And then we really do want to hear from you and have a time for a discussion. And we're recording for now, but when we get to that point, we are going to stop recording so that you feel free to share, kind of where you are and any challenges or next steps that you might, have in this process if you're in the process of issuing credits. So first, we want to have a time for introductions as we're a small group for today. We want to hear from you, and then rationale for giving credit for our courses, sort of a little bit of background on our programs and our progress at our own institutions, a time for group sharing and brainstorming, and of course, it's the time to bring us back together, wrap it up, give you a chance to ask questions, and then we'll be finished. So I am going to go ahead and kick us off with introductions. So we're going to stop sharing. If you feel comfortable turning on your camera, so turning that back on and just telling us your name, your institution, and where you are in the for-credit process. We want these to be pretty quick because we want to have a lot of time for discussion later. But yeah, if you don't mind just turning off your camera, maybe I'll call on someone and then you can call on someone else and just tell us where you're at with that. So let me start with Lindsay. Sorry,
okay.
Spot, Lindsay.
Hi, everyone. I'm totally fine. I'm at NAFSA right now, so sorry to the people around me. So I'll probably not speak much because I didn't have time to get back to my hotel room, but I wanted to pop in on this. So nice to meet everybody. Lindsay Gruber. I'm Executive Director of International Students and Scholar Services at University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And so in that role, I oversee both the compliance office side of our operations as well as our English Language Center. We have a director of our English Language Center as well. Currently, we only have non-credit bearing offerings, but I'm very interested in exploring more. I have some questions around credit bearing courses and whether we can actually require these of students or in terms of compliance, are we never allowed to require that? So that's one question I have in my mind, and I'm just looking forward to hearing everyone's experience. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Andrew, you want to kick us off next? Sorry, I'm calling on people at the worst possible time. Sorry.
It's all good. Hi, my name is Andrew Sandstone. I'm the director of the Family History Literacy program in Jersey City. I work at St. Peter's University. Might get the cat in the Zoom in a little bit, but we'll see. So my program is entirely non-credit. It's community ESOL. I'm in a department that does offer for-credit courses for enrolled students. But generally locally, the only funding mechanism that's sustainable and large scale enough for community ESOL is generally Title II or WIOA funding, but I'm interested in seeing how community ESOL could benefit from, I guess, Title III funding as well. But thank you.
Great, thank you. Kim, do you want to go next?
Hi, my name is Kim Soriano. I'm based in Tampico, Mexico. So we offer credit courses, university level, and we also offer non-credit courses for general public, and not just the English, but maybe other languages. So I was interested in learning more about the ESOL courses in the U.S. higher education environment.
Great. Thank you so much. Melissa?
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Farrow. I'm an instructor in an IEP at the University of Texas at Austin. We currently don't have any 4-credit classes in our program, and I am merely an information gatherer today to find out how we might do that. So thanks to Tracey and Kelly for this webinar today.
Great. Thank you for joining us. Jolene? Jolene, are you available? Should we move on? Jane, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Jane Gavoni from USF in Tampa, Florida. So I'm in the teacher education program, and we, by law in Florida, have 2 ESOL courses for elementary, early childhood, English, and special education majors. So I'm coming from that angle. I'm not sure if, I think you might be doing just ESL, but I thought I'd listen in.
Sure. All right, Diego.
Hi, good morning. I'm Diego Hernandez. I'm a professor in the English Language for Academic Purposes program at Montgomery College, which is a community college outside of Washington, D.C. in Montgomery County, Maryland, in the United States. I'm also in the information gathering stage. I really am trying to champion this cause, because at the community college level, our students are by and large low income immigrants from the developing world, and they're trying to get out of school as quickly as possible. And so they view the ESL classes as a hindrance often rather than an aid. And I'm wondering if we could probably increase our enrollment in our program if we were able to grant credit for these classes. Thanks.
It's like we work at the same place. Okay, Kate, do you want to take us away? Or Catherine Pope, sorry, I know Kate.
No, that's Kate. Yep. Sorry, I gotta update my name. I'm sorry. I'm Kate Pope. I'm the director of the English Language Institute at North Central College outside of Chicago, Illinois. I oversee an intensive English program, but I have a feeling with some of the changing demographics in our institution that we're going to be having more discussions about how to best support some of our incoming students. And I have a feeling that there are going to be some discussions about this. So I guess I'm curious to learn more about what other institutions are doing, and to think about whether or not we need to expand we have 2 credit bearing courses that serve our international student population, but I think we might have more students who don't fit our typical, like, quote unquote international student population that might need some support. So I think we need to think creatively about how those student populations might differ and also be similar, but also like what the best fit is for our institution, if all of that makes sense.
It does very much so. Lauren, you want to go next?
Hi, my video isn't working right now, sorry.
That's okay.
I am at the University of Northern Iowa in our intensive English program. I guess our populations are changing too, and downsizing, and we're looking to see what new ways we can reinvigorate our program, and as we reach out beyond an intensive English program and to start to support international students as a whole. I think I'm hoping to get out of this.
Great. And I said, Deanie, did you want to share where you are in this process?
Sure. So my name's Deanie Good. I am an English for Academic Purposes instructor at Metropolitan Community College, Kansas City, in Kansas City, Missouri, at Penn Valley, which is where we have our ESOL classes. And I have no power, but I I'm bringing this up to the people who do, and where I am so far is, I don't know if this is exclusive to Missouri, but we have a thing called Core 42. Initially, I was told that we couldn't, my classes are already 4 credit, but they're not transferable, so they don't count towards their degrees. And so what I understand to be the next move to be included as a transferable course is that we have to make our classes 100 level classes, not below 100 level classes. And I was told that should be easy enough because all we have to do is compare what we do to other 100 level classes. And I've kind of already started to do that and realized, oh, hey, occupational Spanish, that's like ESOL level 0. So
Yeah.
it's like, so I think if I can get my leadership behind me, that should be easy enough to do.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I always joke. I ended up, and won't say much about this. We can get in our discussion, but in a conversation once with our provost, and I said, I want you to imagine you were in, like, say, Spanish 15, and that's what some of our students are. And he was like, what? Wow. I'm like, exactly. That's where we're going here. So we need that level of amazement. It's not a level 0 compared to another level 0. So Lucy, if you're just joining us, we're just doing name, your institution, and where you are in the world, and if you currently offer credit for any ESOL courses. So Lucy, do you care to share?
Hi, I'm Lucy. Sorry to be joining late. I am at Northeastern University teaching in an international pathway program, and we don't offer credit, and we 100% should because it's English level 25, what you were just saying. So thank you for having this webinar.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us. And Jolene, just circling back to you in case you want to share.
Hello, I'm Jolene. I am also in Kansas. I was until recently at Kansas State University in the English language program, but now I am the director of Highland Community College, which is just up the road. So at K-State, the classes are 4 credit and they are transferable, but here at Highland, they are not, and we just have very different populations. So that's what I have to share.
Great. Glad you made it, Jolene.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And then Carrie, I think you're the last one to share if you would like. Okay, maybe Kelly, want to go ahead and take it away?
Yeah,
thank you all so
sure.
much. I was taking a few notes here.
Well, I'll just share that I'm Kelly McClendon. I'm at Washburn University in Topeka, Kansas, and I'll be sharing in depth about our credit that we have at our institution. And my co-presenter is Tracey at the Illinois Institute of Technology, and she'll share as well. But let's go into our presentation part here. We just wanted to start with some of the rationale and why are we offering credit. I think we're all here and we know the reason, but we want to boost morale, as I heard one of you mention, and but we also want to be inclusive. And I think we've already talked about just we should include English language along with the other languages we teach at our institutions. They should be equal in credit. So inclusion and equity are part of the rationale, and recognizing the students' prior learning skills. That's part of it. There's many ways of recognizing prior credit going on at our institutions probably already, and this is just another part of that. And I would like to continue to always move away from thinking that students lack English skills, but actually they're adding a language skill to their already proficient language skills in other languages. And we should value their language skills as emerging multilinguals, kind of starting to change the lingo around our institutions. And another rationale is to actually increase the recognition of faculty and instructors like us and our colleagues, and the programs and what they provide for students and institutions. And then, of course, benefits for the students. If you offer credit, it could reduce time to graduation, enhance recruiting, and support university goals of inclusion, diversity, equity, things like that. So I think we will start with Washburn University, and that's where I am. Just want to give you a snapshot of where you are, where we are, because we need a little bit of background information. So we're in Topeka, Kansas, public university, state and city funded. We have about 4,600 in undergrads. And this is the biggest point here, we have an open admission policy. And so there's a lot of support and scaffolding for all the students. And so to me, this is really also part of including the intensive English program. So we also admit everyone and try to have language support for them as well, if they are non-native English speakers or international students. And so we have a little under 200 total international students, or actually right around right now. But not very many of those are actually in the IEP. The IEP, the Intensive English Program, is inside the Office of International Programs. That's just how we're structured. So we're not actually in one of the other academic departments. So we have a small IEP. So we had under 20 this semester, and actually fall semester too. Students are sometimes full-time, or sometimes they just have one class. We also sometimes get English learners from the community. We had one this year. And we have 3 levels, starting from beginning or high beginning, and we try to have an open admission policy and provide support if we get a beginning learner. And each level is 16 weeks, so it's like a semester. So that's where I'm coming from. And let's have Tracey share where she is coming from.
Thanks, Kelly. So I'm at Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago, Illinois. We are a private STEM-focused university. So we have just under 7,000 students. 43% are international. Now, the vast majority of those are grad, and we're mostly today talking about undergrad. But I think that's really important to highlight, because we should be doing more for all of those international students, right? So this is just one step in that big grand plan that I have. So we are in an academic unit. We're in the College of Science and Letters. We are called English Language Services. And we serve, right now, just with numbers being down, just under 300 students across all of our programs, about 500 enrollments a year. Those numbers are starting to creep back up again, thankfully. We do have a full-time IEP that is very, very small, but pathway students also take some of their courses in the full-time IEP. We have an English language program that serves undergraduate and graduates. And of course, I'm talking mostly today about the undergraduates in that program. And then we also have an ESB for graduate design students. So Kelly and I are going to do a deeper dive here in a second, but that just gives you sort of a snapshot of where we are and how big our institutions are.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Tracey. So yeah, I just wanted to shift over to where we are in the process. The process for me being a journey to credit for different classes or different levels of credit. So I'll just start by saying that in the 90s, all of our IEP courses counted in the Washburn overall GPA, but they wouldn't count necessarily for their degree GPA, like when they applied to graduate, and then the auditors had to say what their GPA had to be to graduate with this major. But anyway, at least it counts, or it counted. So that was like a step when we set up the program and thinking for that, so that students would be motivated to have good grades and study. And then continued like that for a really long time. And then in 2012, we decided that it was, well, K-State had credit. K-State is about Kansas State University is about, I don't know, 50 minutes from where I am. And so I remember that they were offering credit for some of their classes. And I was very interested in that. So I proposed and got on the board with the level 3 of our program. These courses, the writing, all of the writing, the reading, listening and speaking, got approved for general elective credits. So what that means is that they could count those credits toward their total for graduation. And then their GPA for those credits, those actual credits, would count toward their degree GPA. So there's a couple little steps there that made a difference for students. So they didn't feel like they were completely wasting time. And then this in 2012 directly led to the next couple of things. And that was that all of the level 3 classes could just automatically count for foreign language credit in some majors. And that was a big deal for students, even though we kind of could do it before 2019. In 2019, it became automatic in the auditing system. So that's a little thing that could be done and makes it easy. And then in collaborating with the Modern Languages Chair, who approves the International Studies minor, we were talking and he said, I could just approve the intensive English courses to be counted as their 12 credits toward their International Studies minor. So that was just a conversation, and then we made it effective in the data system. So now it's pretty easy for that to happen for students. So I try to advertise that they're halfway there, and they get waived because of their study abroad component because they're already abroad. So they have like half their minor done already. So anyway, that was kind of a side thing for us, but something that was quite easy to do. And languages department was happy to do that for the international students. And then the biggest thing to happen in our journey just happened last year. And this happened after having an advisory. I meet with an advisory council once a year. So those are different stakeholders across the university. And I just talk to them about data that we have, and they just kind of give advice and help us integrate into the university. But we all were talking about how language classes are actually general education humanities credit at Washburn University, like Japanese 1, 2, or beginning Japanese 2 or beginning Spanish 2 is a gen ed credit, 3 credits. And so I said, well, we should be too. So made that proposal. My advisory council was in support of that, and it went through all the way up. And so level 3 classes, which is up to 12 credits, there's general education humanities at Washburn University now. So that's a big deal. It's really happy. One of my students and the university is also giving retro credit. So if they took the classes in 2019, they can still get credit applied toward their degree. They do have to change their catalog year to do it, but we've been done it for a number of students already. And then let's see, writing on that general education credit, I did want to mention in Kansas, the Kansas public institutions, there's a board of regents, and they are going forward with a statewide general education system. So we will ride that wave, and our students, if they counted as gen ed at Washburn, they later transfer to KU or Kansas University or Kansas State University within Kansas. If all the universities are subscribing to the system, then they would have those credits transferable as a gen ed. So it's a really big thing for us, happening last year. And then this year, this spring, the level 2 classes. So the level 2 classes are still, the number is a 100 and level 3 is a 200 level class. So level 2 being 100 level class, I decided, well, this is like beginning Spanish 2. It needs credit too, but we don't need any more general electives, I guess, but I just wanted it to actually count toward their GPA for their degree and count. They could use it as foreign language credits or whatever else they needed credit for their degree. And we got that passed too. After having these passed, I do have to say I was talking to one of our students who's been here a little while, and I told him about all this. He said this is game changing. So it is actually shortening their time to graduation, making them feel like their classes matter and they get credit and they're not wasting time or money. So it's been a long journey, I would say, starting with back in 2010 with just trying to make allies and assert intensive English in what we do, go to faculty meetings in the English department and modern language department, go to advising meetings with advisors across campus to do all of these things. But anyway, there's a lot of people that are happy to recognize what students are doing in the IEP here. So it's been a really good process so far. My next dreams are next spring, we are going to have a dual credit with area high schools. So one of our gen ed classes will be for dual credit. So a certified teacher will teach that at the high school, and then the students can get credit for that class at Washburn, and it'll be transferable college credit. And at one of the high schools, they're going to use title services funds to pay for the classes. That was, I heard someone mention Title III. I don't know, these might be Title IX, but I'm not sure. So that's something for the future, and looking forward to that. All right, I think at this time, I'll let Tracey do a deep dive at what's happening in her institution.
Great. So thank you, Kelly. So Kelly knows I often joke with her that Washburn is like the case study. It's like the classic example of success for credit. So hopefully you're getting the idea of like how you can get credit in a million different ways. And you will see it says Journey to Seeking Credit at Illinois Tech. Kelly and I have worked together on some other presentations and writing articles about this, that we've done a fair amount of research into the ways that other institutions offer credit. And it seems that many start with maybe just a free elective, right? Like a general ed free elective. That's kind of an easy way in. Or I know some of you mentioned it counts toward the GPA, but it's not really credit, or it's not really transferable, right? So I passionately believe that the time is now, like, for this, because I would never, if you had asked me probably even 2 years ago, if we were at a point where we could be started really pushing for credit for our courses, I would have said no way. And our status is kind of to the side, and that's where we'll stay. And I really do think we're at a great place for this right now. So at Illinois Tech, English language program courses are required as a condition of admission. So they're not for credit, but they do print on the transcript as like in a not for credit section. Whereas if they took an IEP course, those would not show up there. So they were, kind of in their own level. They're like a matriculated student level, but still not for credit. And they're taken concurrently with other university courses. So undergrads come in, if they have a requirement, they take 2 courses from the start of each semester, from their first semester on through their program. So what's in process right now is that we have a writing intensive course. So if they don't pass the basic writing proficiency at the point of admission, then they have to take a writing intensive course offered by Humanities. So you know, who knows if anybody else deals with something like this, but we've had students who submit that essay, are required to take our writing courses, but test out of that writing course. So they're going in reverse order. So one of the things that Humanities is proposing is that if they're required to take ELP writing, they can't skip the writing intensive, that they need to be scaffolded, that those are going in reverse order. It's working against the student, and they probably did not write that essay themselves if they're testing into our ELP writing course with our assessment testing and testing out of it with an essay they submitted prior to arrival. So not only can they not test out and kind of leapfrog over that course, they must complete our writing course before starting that. So just that to me is more just a tightening, but it's also shows students that these are not throwaway courses, that, you know, so often they'll say, and I know some of you mentioned this is a hindrance, this is a block to me completing my degree. It's not as important as my other courses. And we are saying, no, they are just as important. And that's why the university is going to require that you complete them first. The others you can take concurrently, but these need to be completed in order to help you. So another thing that Illinois Tech is working on right now, so unlike Washburn, we don't have a study abroad requirement. We don't have a foreign language requirement. We don't have any international studies requirements, or some schools have like a diversity requirement or something like that. We don't have any of that. So I sort of see if you have a foreign language requirement, that's an easy one to make. Like Deanie was saying, and Kelly was saying, you know, compare what they do in those courses up against yours. And maybe that's just an easy way to say, hey, at least you can knock out the foreign language requirement. You know, so maybe they're still not for credit, but they count, or maybe you can cross list or whatever. Like the possibilities are endless in that regard. So that's maybe just an easy way to do it. Or like I said, diversity, you know, some people have that sort of requirement, or study abroad. Like there's all different ways you can think about that. So one of the things we're doing next is something that predates me, is that our courses were set up to line up with the sub-skills of TOEFL and IELTS. So they take a listening or speaking or reading or writing. So we want to integrate those, take it from 8 total courses, maybe down to 4. We haven't worked it all out yet. And then we'll be seeking Gen Ed approval in order to award credit, and hopefully also gaining H and C designations. So another thing Illinois Tech is looking to do is we have a higher minimum credit limit for an undergraduate degree than all of our peer institutions and local institutions. So we're hoping to lower that so that it's a comparable credit limit. And then that would also mean that if we can get credit for our ELP courses and get the H and C designations, it's like, you know, checking off multiple boxes at one time while not penalizing them, because we have that higher credit limit minimum. Plus the ESOL courses, students look at an extra 1 to 2 semesters when we're already a 5-year institution for most of majors. So, you know, that then is like a 5.5 year, 6 year, and that does not make us competitive, and it truly penalizes the students. It's exactly what we've been talking about, right? That we are not recognizing their value and the language skills that they're bringing into our institution and the value that they add. So hopefully this is kind of a lot of things we're hoping to do at one time, and then they'll all get pushed through and give credit and reward those students. And eventually, of course, some schools are awarding ESOL minors. And I would love to do that for a student who's taking 4 classes with us. That's 12 hours. Let's award a minor for that as well. So that's like very long term. That will not be next year or anything. So that's just a bit of what we're doing. And I know we want to make sure we have time for discussion, and we're a few minutes behind. And we'll have time for you guys.
I'll go to the next slide. So we're at discussion time. So ready? And thank you for starting the recording again. And so we can kind of wrap up our discussion that we've been having in our breakout rooms. I think this is a time of questions. Like, are there any final questions that you have for Tracey or I? We still have a couple of minutes, and then we will, we just have 2 more slides to show after this, but I thought I'd give another minute if anyone had another question.
Kelly, we did have a question in our group. When you were looking at the foreign language comparisons at Washburn, did you compare syllabi, SLOs, assessments, all of the above? How did you make that equivalency?
So I did compare the student learning outcomes and the program learning outcomes. And it wasn't necessary for me to do the assessments because it passed through with just that.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I suspected. So thank you.
That was enough for everybody. Yeah. And it was very interesting for me. I really enjoyed that part. If you have any questions, please email me. I'll be glad to give you my resources on that. Any others? Maybe one more. Great. Well, I've really enjoyed this discussion today. Let me just share my screen again. So this was just our slide on questions. Sorry, I need to show it in the slide form. And then basically I just wanted to, or Tracey and I wanted to share with you some of the resources that we have been using when we were doing this. When we make proposals, we often use that third reference right there, the position statement from TESOL, that it's been very useful, saying that the student should get credit. And so it's a really official kind of statement that you can use. And then some of the others are some research that Tracey had been doing in this field. And then finally, we really want to thank you all for taking time out of your early summer or end of semester schedules and coming to this discussion. And we are happy to talk with you more. Please do not be shy about emailing us or continuing the discussion further.
Yes.
And I just want to add that if anybody has anything about this topic that they would like to share or write an article about for the Higher Education Intersection newsletter or the PACE Intersection newsletter, I don't want to leave Tracey out. If you want to write it for HEIS, you can send it to Amber or Alicia Ambler. And if you'd like, I guess they can send it to you, Tracey, if they want to send.
Sure. Yeah. But Deanie, it seems that there's
Yes.
like a taskbar covering. It says send your article to.
Oh my goodness.
And then
Okay,
it doesn't
sorry.
show-
Oh, there it goes.
There we go. Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, send your article to, Alicia Ambler at U of Iowa .edu.
Great, thank you. And yeah, and I just want to reiterate, thank you all so much. If you, I'll throw my email here in the chat. If you are interested in brainstorming more, I know I offered this to my group that I have been doing a fair amount of research around this and all the different ways that schools issue credit. So if you ever want to just brainstorm, jump on the Zoom call or something and, kind of chat through your situation, I probably have an idea for the next step. I have no lack of ideas, but no, but really, I mean, I just really appreciate the time to talk about this topic. I think it's such an important topic.
And with that, we must conclude today's online program. Today's presentation was for credit ESOL in U.S. colleges and universities. A special thank you to Tracey McGee and Kelly McClendon. This concludes the program. You may now disconnect.